Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. It's time now to review headlines on today's newspapers with the Ombudsman of This Day and Arise Media Group and This Day's Newspaper Limited Group Executive Director Kayode Komolafe. Good morning, Mr. Keke. Happy Sunday to you.
Steve.
And you are looking excellent today. I love that green on you.
Thank you very much.
Happy Sunday.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
All right, Keke, let's go into it. We'll start with This Day on Sunday. 4 interesting stories on the cover of the paper. The lead says Niger coup leader pledges to hand over to civilian government within 3 years. Mali, Burkina Faso, dare ECOWAS deploy warplanes to Niger. Ousted President Bazoum will not be harmed, says Prime Minister. Abdul Salami, Sultan-led delegation meet ousted President, coup leaders. Nigerians protest in Kano, call for Bazoum's reinstatement. Different things happening almost at the same time as far as Niger is concerned. Interesting to see that the new government wants to stay in power for at least 3 years, if they are to be believed. On top of that, governors kick against federal government's directives on refund of palliative fund. 5 billion grant to states, shambolic, says ACF. That's the Arewa Consultative Forum. And on top of that is the story on page 6, a strip. MBA probes Unical lecturer, Adamawa Rek, Abia lawyer. I'm sure Shaitan is interested in the Unical's lecturer and all the...
So am I.
Okay. On the window, NEITI seeks implementation of special panel's report on crude oil theft, losses. Petrol marketers may shun importation as federal government rules out price increase. Interesting. I think in another, one of the other papers, Keke, you must have seen it, the marketers are saying that this administration has indeed resumed fuel subsidy secretly. Maybe you might want to take that together.
Fuel subsidy secretly.
Yeah, the front page photo of This Day on Sunday is actually...
Oh, I missed that.
Yes,
apologies.
No, it's good. It also tells, I mean, it's about the story on the front page. That is the lead story of this day today.
Okay.
Is the photo is a continuation,
Okay.
Of telling the story.
Yes.
Because you have the deposed President Bazoum and the ECOWAS delegation, General Absalami and the Sultan of Sokoto. Now, I think we should approach the Niger story today on a positive note. By the way, virtually all the papers today have the Niger story on their front page. Vanguard, Tribune, The Sun, Telegraph, yes. The Guardian. Is the lead story of all the papers today. So that's just to show that it's the topical issue, of the moment, and that should not be surprising because we are talking of a matter that, depending on the way it's handled, it could cost a lot of blood and sweat. So it's a thing that needs to be handled, carefully, especially on the part of Nigeria and then ECOWAS. I say that the story should be read positively in the sense that the meeting between the ECOWAS delegation, led by General Salami,
yes,
and the coup leaders on the one hand, and also the deposed President Bazoum, is an indication that success, at least relatively, that is being made on the diplomatic level, And that in itself is a vindication of the position of those people who are pushing for a diplomatic solution, to the problem, rather than a military solution. So it's a measure, of the success that is being made. At least now that the coup leaders are actually, they've spoken with the ECOWAS delegation, who will now take back, the message to the ECOWAS authorities, and also that they've been able to also interact with the post-president, If you like, you may say the front page story is a proof of life, So there have been a lot of stories about the condition of President Bazoum and President. Now that you could see him with the ECOWAS delegation, and it should be noted in the story. General Absalami said, President Bazoum, told them what happened to him, and that is also, very significant. So moving forward, I think that with this success, what it points to is that greater effort should be made on the diplomatic level, and that the military option still remains, largely unpopular. That is the use of force,
yes,
for the resolution. If you look at the balance of opinions, I think majority of the people, in the sub-region, the various voices, are against it, while not legitimizing, the coup.
Legality of the coup.
Okay, exactly. And why not? Why also, supporting the principle, of ECOWAS, to ensure, that democracy is not truncated in more countries in West Africa. Then, also significant in the story today is that Mali and Burkina Faso are also warming up, to support Niger in defense and in the that you are having. So that in itself, complicates the matter. That the use of force, carries the risk, of a war, intra-regional war, in West Africa, So what the ECOWAS authorities, led by Nigeria, should be encouraged, to put greater efforts on the diplomatic effort. Then it's also important to remark this, because last week we paid attention to the demonstration, in Kano. Now, also, so there's a counter demonstration now in Kano.
There.
Yes, now, in support of, So that's just to tell you the complexity of the issue we are dealing with, that is not, a simple matter. That the Niger issue, should be dealt with, in its full carefully.
I just want to quickly follow up what you said. We're seeing progress. First off, proof of life, diplomatic conversations are being had. So is it maybe a time for ECOWAS to start to rethink some of the sanctions that they have put in place? Because the people that are suffering right now are actually Nigerians who don't have access to, electricity. So now that this conversation is being had, is this something that they should start looking at taking back the sanctions?
I agree with you. Because if you're having negotiation, implicit in negotiation is that there's give and take, So while you negotiate, you concede, some grounds, both sides. So while the ECOWAS, for instance, should further negotiate with the coup plotters, they've made a promise that there will be a transition to civil rule within 3 years. It is still possible to negotiate that, to have a shorter period.
Yes.
Like I said, we have, the history of that, is well known. Just about 25 years ago, when there was a similar coup in Niger, when Colonel Wanke, took over, the coup in which Menesara, was killed. Nigeria, President Obasanjo then was able to negotiate with Colonel Wanke to have a short transition program. Not necessarily the restoration, of the overthrown regime. So it is still possible for ECOWAS to negotiate a shorter transition program. And I agree with you that in the process, the coup makers also could ask that you also have to ease these sanctions. That the pressure on them, should be lessened. So it's a possibility. I agree with you.
Before we go to this day style, I just want to buttress your point on ECOWAS, and that is on the front page of The Guardian. I think Benga Salau wrote a special feature on why ECOWAS should focus on restoring constitutional order and not Bazoum. He said, I do not see the coup leaders accepting to return power to the ousted president, given the possibility of a retributive trial of junta leaders, as well as the fact that doing so will invalidate any justification that the junta presented earlier as reason for removing him in the first place. And I think that that is a very sound point
it
that's
is,
being
it is part of the
just
complexity
made.
that we're
Yes.
talking about. You know,
Right.
it's a complicated matter. You know,
Right.
so but it's not beyond diplomatic solution. You know.
Yes. Your Unical story. Unical.
Yes.
Great Malabite.
Thank you.
Before we move to this day style, we have to
Actually, it's not
just
a
pick it.
it's not a laughing
Yes,
matter.
it's not. It's not at all.
You know, because
But I'm
I think
glad that they've taken
all
that
Malabites
action.
all over the world
Yes.
will be embarrassed. You know,
Right.
that is coming from our armament. You know, but really the story is really that NBA should be commended for the step being taken. You know, because very often we reporters we always urge professional organizations to rise to the occasion when their members especially public interest. So for NBA to take interest, not by the way, not only on the Unical lecturer, there are other.
But the dean is still being investigated, isn't it? Or has it been?
No, the Unical on its own is
suspended while
the professor is suspended.
Yes.
Unical is investigating it,
investigated.
but I'm saying that the professional angle given to it by MBA should be encouraged. It should be commended.
And I think the vice chancellor of Unical is a woman, right?
Yes, she's a lady.
Okay, so
Professor Florence
That's
it's a shame
important
that he
component.
was suspended and then reinstated for this same reason. I mean, I just hope that everything comes out, in a good light for your school, Mr.
Thank you very much.
Well, all right, let's move over to this day's style, shall we? The cover picture there, made in Nigeria, supporting local talent, and we have designs from Banke Kuku, who I love. Shaito, I'm sure you love Banke Kuku. We also have Maya Tafo, and designs from Lisa Folawiyo. I really, really love the print there. The mixture, it looks like some sort of Missoni,
it's
right?
Really nice.
It's really nice, the global mix as well as the Nigerian mix of fabrics. You know that over the years, the Nigerian fashion industry has witnessed remarkable growth, with numerous brands emerging that proudly produce their goods within the country's borders. These brands have gained global recognition for their creativity, craftsmanship, and the ability to infuse traditional aesthetics with contemporary style. You know that hashtag made in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what we should encourage. And Mr. Kamalafe, when you walked in, that was the first thing I said. I really, really love your attire, and we should continue to encourage made in Nigeria brand.
Yeah, I think it's also important to stress, why commending this day style, for choosing that, very topical theme, of made in Nigeria. Because the momentum which the Made in Nigeria movement has generated, is not just making a cultural statement, but it also has an economic dimension.
Absolutely.
Because in an age where everything in Nigeria
thing,
is reduced to dollar, if you are able to, have Made in Nigerian, stores, produced and patronized by Nigerian, then you may not. That is without having a dollar, at least you be able to. Have access to this.
Yes.
So I think the economic, implication of it,
Absolutely.
it's a thing that should get government to support, that particular movement.
It's a very important point.
Yeah,
it's one of the few things that we are actually exporting to the world, our Nigerian fashion. And, we definitely still have a long way to go, but we've already made significant progress.
And it's important now, given that we now have new ministers. And interestingly, for those who will be like the chief marketers of the Nigerian brand, there are two of them now. And they're both women. Yes. The woman in arts, culture, and creatives, Anatu Musawa, and of course our lady from Lagos, who will be in charge of tourism. It is important that they embody, they wear Nigeria, they eat Nigeria, they do Nigeria, visage, so that people can copy. Especially now that in Burkina Faso, yes, it's a military government there, but they are saying that we want everything. School uniform will have to be local fabric, and I think that's something that we can.
Absolutely.
I think we can still take
one can we read all the headlines? So from the wheel and then from this day, so that we
because
can,
I have an important story that I want to touch on.
So we just read both together.
All right then, so let's do the wheel. The top story there reads, high expectations. New ministers take oath, face daunting challenges. Tinubu pins renewed hope agenda on cabinet. Top likely performers: Pate, Alausa, Keyamo, Fagbemi, Wike, Edun, Umahi, Anite, Musawa, Maman, Tijani. Ministers to watch: Idris, Tunji Ojo, Alake, Edu, Adelabu, Gbajabiamila, Ribadu emerge president's most influential political appointees. Very interesting. I mean, they're getting sworn in tomorrow.
The chief of staff and national security advisors will be influential. Anyway, the will is stating the obvious. They will be sworn in tomorrow.
I think
the ministers.
all eyes should be on all ministers.
Yes.
Mr. Keke. All eyes on
All the ministers.
All the ministers.
All right, Tribune. A few interesting stories. Corruption on politics, corruption, hunger at home, paradox of war-mongering ECOWAS leaders, and then reps probe non-remittance of workers' contributions, invite AGF, ICPC, or others. And on not a very good note, fire got multi-million naira UCH ICU services won't be disrupted, CMD assures. And the story that I'm interested in particular, Ogun, Lagos, Osun, join Oyo, declare tomorrow Isese Day. For those who are neither Christians or Muslims, given the fact that Nigeria is a secular state, which has to be, it's Sunday Tribune, we're on Sunday Tribune. It is important, the importance of this Isese Day should be emphasized for those who practice traditional religion. It simply means that, the argument has always been there for long, that every August 20th, which is today, should be Isese Day, which will be like the Christmas or the Salah Day for traditional worshippers. And I like the fact that Lagos, Oyo took the lead, Ogun followed, Lagos also followed, and Osun lately has joined. Interestingly, all of them, all the governors in those states are Christians. If we take Osun State Governor Nuruddin Jackson Adeleke as a Christian. We'll wait for Ondo and Ekiti, who also have Christian governors, by the way. But it also puts a bit of a challenge on those governors, particularly in Lagos State. Lagos is ethnic, multicultural, and we remember what happened during the elections when the cult of the Burora, the Oro, was made to come out. Yes, it's an affirmation of culture, but culture has to be moderated and modified so that no other person is affected. I hope that Kwara State is learning from what its Yoruba cousins are doing in these 4 states so that you don't stifle any religion. Isese Agbewa, as they say, by the traditional religions.
Mr. Komala, you only have about...
Thank you so much.
Only about that briefly, if you can.
Yes, I think, there's hardly anything I can add more to the way Steve has beautifully presented the matter. I think, and that is really the spirit of Nigerian constitution.
Absolutely.
That all religions are equal, in the eyes of the law, and that there should be no discrimination against any religion.
Absolutely.
So need I say more? I think Steve has made the point.
All right.
Fantastic.
It's always good to have you on.
I'd like to thank you very much
KK.
for joining us on the morning show again. We'll see you
so much.
next week.
Sunday.